And we're back once again, only on its last call. Last call of the alcohol, only on the lastcallpodcast.com. And joining me here once again, only on college football. Well, when big things are happening, when we have news and firings and big games coming ahead, I got to bring in the expert. I got to bring the guy who, no matter what, just like how he cooks his steak, he brings the heat. He's ready. He's locked and loaded. He's ready to tell us what the hell is going on, what's happening, and why these are big games. I give you once again from College Football Nation. I give you Nino Brown. So Nino, let's start off here with the big news. That's right. That's right. I'm a man. I'm 40. Well, you're no longer 40. You're no longer a coach. Mike Gundy is gone. He has been fired from Oklahoma State University. How this get to this point? Like how usually he was one of the most consistent every year, 8-9 wins every year. It's like, well, he could be better, but hey, he's still pretty solid. How the hell did it get to this point, and what happened with Oklahoma State?
This Chris, this whole situation is a mixed bag of emotions for me. We're talking about the magic mullet. The guy could probably made more money off, tagging that than he did his coaching. But yeah, this guy was consistently good. I mean, if you look at it, he was, about 9 win season almost every single year. If you look at over the record, 170 and 90, 102 and 72 in conference play. I mean, three-time Big 12 Coach of the Year, just Big 12 Coach of the Year in 2023. They went 10-4, right? So the problem was if he made some comments and did some, was acting a little funny in 2024, and then they went 3-9. Whatever. There was a contract situation that went through there. They kind of wanted to get him out at the end of 24. They figured out the contract situation. This year was really bad. Chris, really, really bad. When you lose to a, kind of, I guess it's an under the radar in-state rival in Tulsa. After getting trounced 69-3 by Oregon, tends to leave a solid. I mean, you let up 424 yards of offense to Tulsa. Like, this is the first time you lost them since 1951 at home. Like, offense is anemic, defense is putrid. Things were not looking good. He doesn't know. It's not that he doesn't want to coach anymore. Because everything I'm reading is him and his son. I believe it's Gavin. They on to the next one. Whatever college team will have us, I'll be there with them. But you got to think about how many people he put to the NFL. How in that 20-year span of coaching, and I think he was there almost 30 years total with being, assistant coach, a quarterbacks coach. I mean, he turned the program totally around, made them, a contender for many, many years. But in this day and age of college football, it's kind of what have you done for me lately? And again, the money, Chris, that's a factor.
How much was a transfer portal for him for his downfall? Where you look and it's like they kept losing people and he never replaced them. Like Dazon's Stripling went to
Ole Miss.
Ole Miss. You had, Ollie Gord went to the pros. The quarterback position right now is a mess. Like, how did it get this bad? Like, even I'm just looking like, was it him? Was it just they misfired? Like, what that Maliaki Smith transferred to Ole Miss. Like, how did this get to the point where we were looking, going, man, they're losing a lot of talent. They're not replacing it.
Well, I think when I was getting to a little bit, when I kind of alluded to just splashing it out there about the money, I'm not talking about a buyout money. I'm talking about in this day and age in the NIL. They're right now, which you would think, Oklahoma State has been a brand for, 15 plus years, almost 20 years with him being there. They're in the same almost category with money as UCLA. They don't have it. The backers, the alumni, they're not throwing it out there. The AD came out and said the first quarter of action is to compile a team of who we're going to go to follow, the process to get a coach. But GM is the first, thing they want to do as well, just like Virginia Tech. And he said that they're going to need everybody on board here, including the alumni and boosters. They need money. They can't pay the kids nowadays, now with NIL. So they're losing the good talent away. Outside of a coach right now, priority number one is keeping Horace Henry. That's you need to keep him, because if he goes, there's your 4-star recruit. There's the name, the face that could draw anybody to the school in the portal. They're running back as well. What's his name? Fields Jr. They need to retain both of those kids. It's going to be hard. The QB room is a mess, because Zane Flores got hurt, and then they had to throw Horace Henry in there. And then Henry, I think, got banged up. So it's like, it's kind of a revolving door on quarterback, but it's not Gundy's fault. I believe a little bit of, not being adjusting down the last year and whatever quarter. There hasn't been really much adjustment on him, but I think that's kind of been him not seeing eye to eye with the powers that be in power above. But they're not spending money. There's no money to spend. Like, I think that they're going to have to look at wanting to bring in maybe a first-time coach here. You know what I mean? Or a guy who's had, a little bit of coaching experience at the G5 level and kind of bring him up, because there's not, what I read, what I keep hearing is there's not enough money to go around. They don't have the money to retain these kids in the portal, and they don't have the bag to throw at these kids in the recruiting process. So you're starting to see it just trickle down.
Should have kept Gundy the full season. I mean, when you look at what he did, how he made Oklahoma State relevant, how he guided them through the years after T. Boone Pickens passed away and the spigot got turned off for money. Like, well, I guess my question for Oklahoma State athletic directors, well, just keep for the full year. Mm-hmm. Let him ride it out. Let him retire on his own. Let him just go, hey, look, we don't want to fire you, but we're not going to retain you. This will be your swan song year. At least, with not fire him like, you do coaches who are just god awful, like Deshaun Foster and, Virginia Tech. Why not just give him the full year?
I think that's why I have a lot of mixed emotion. I think he just, the firing was deserved. The 180 that we've seen in the last year and a quarter was bad. They weren't doing well in the recruiting process. They weren't doing well in the portal. But yes, I think he earned himself the Mac Brown treatment. What he did for this program over 2 decades, it brought them out of, non-existence to being relevant, being Big 12 championships, being a, 3-time Big 12 coach. Like, he earned the right to finish the year out. And if they were going to do this, and this was the thing, that then they should have let him go at the end of last season instead of bringing him back one more year. Because we heard the quabbles and all the squabbles earlier of last season and before it started, and they weren't sure about what they were going to do. Gundy, I'm 100% back, blah, blah, blah. And they ended up figuring it out. But if this was your plan all along, then you should have cut him at the end of last season and came in with a fresh start. But I think he earned the right to be able to finish the year out. It was kind of the wrong timing, in my opinion.
Who's going to want this job? That's a good candidate. Because as he said, the money's not there. Big 12 is getting a lot more competitive than we thought. They just saw a coach who most people was very beloved get fired, as if he stole something. And as you said, they have no GM. So, like we were talking about last week, Virginia Tech, who they might get, UCLA, who might they get. Who could Oklahoma State reasonably get that's A, good, B, wants this job, or how tough is it right now where other good coaches are going to look and go, ooh, hard pass.
Like I said, I think they kind of got to look to a younger coach or a coach that just kind of up and coming, maybe just got his feet wet, may not have this crazy record, winning percentage to start out, but guy, it's got a little bit of Big 12 background when it comes to like offense, played at a high prolific, coach at a high prolific offense in Connor Ward. Now kind of turned the program around with a kid that hadn't started a game since he was in high school in Mesomaker. I think North Texas coach Eric Morris is the guy they might want to look at. This kid's got, 39 years old, relates to these younger kids, this brings that high profile offense, putting up points. You see what North Texas is doing right now. They're kind of like, I think they're ranked third in the quote unquote G5 position to go to the playoff. I think it's Memphis and USF in front of them. I think this is a kid that they really should be looking at. Fresh start, young face, an offense that can kickstart in the Big 12. Everybody knows Big 12 defense aren't that great. Right? They're going to put up points. This kid's going to bring in an offensive scheme and a style that puts up a lot of points and is quick. I think this is the type of coach that you need to kind of look at. Someone in this realm, a younger coach, more relatable, more of a 2025 feel, high-powered offense. Like I said, Connor Ward, we've seen what they've done for a long time. They were highly prolific offenses. Cam Ward was over there, before he went to Washington State. So I think Eric Morris is a candidate they kind of should be looking at.
Where does Mike Gundy land? I mean, we're talking about some of the jobs that are opening, like UCLA, Virginia Tech, Florida might be opening. There's talk of maybe, dare I say, Wisconsin. He's won. He's been a guy who's been in top bowl games, top 10, place finishes. Just 2 years ago, as you said, he was 10-3, and he was the bee's knees. So will he be out of work for long, or are there going to be teams looking, going, hey, we could do much worse than Mike Gundy?
I think Mike Gundy, as they say, sometimes you just need to take time off and come right back to it after. I think, to quote my man Moon from CFB Nation, I think Mike Gundy's a year of TV would be good for Mike Gundy. Getting some kind of college football analyst role, get on TV for a year. Probably would be, comedic, kind of like how Pat McAfee kind of got his style. Gundy's got his antics to him. Give him a little bit. Get the people who love Mike Gundy again. Get back to the I'm 40, I'm a man, and then come back, because I don't think right now the temperature, the taste, or the risk is worth it. I don't know if a lot of teams are going to be looking at him right off the rip. I think he may have a year off, and then, like I said, I think there's going to be a lot of media positions available for him, but I don't think that a lot of P4 programs are going to come knocking at his door. But another coach that I think Oklahoma State should look at is UTSA coach Jeff Traylor. I think, another guy, offense prolific, younger coach. He's done good things over there. And I think, those are the style of coaches that I think Oklahoma State should try to kind of pluck these guys from. I mean, if you could get, DJ Kiney, another Connor Ward guy, Texas State head coach, now you're plucking them from the G5 and you're bringing them up a level. So it's their chance to get their feet wet in this P4 scene. Those are three guys I think would really do well for Oklahoma State. And it would be it wouldn't be a lateral move for them.
All right. Speaking of hot seat, let's talk about the hot seat. There is a lot of coaches on the hot seat. Some seats have cooled off a bit. Some are red hot. Let's go over. So far, we've had 3 coaches fired with Deshaun Foster, Mike Gundy, and Brent Price. So there's now talk there's going to be at least another 7 or 8. So I'm just going to go over the list of people, and you can tell me, is he gone or not? Billy Napier.
Gone.
Sam Pittman of Arkansas.
Gone. And from what I'm reading and kind of looking more into, it looks as though Bobby Petrino has set himself up to be get the interim tag. If it does, when it does happen, I believe mid-season, if they continue down this path, if they get this W against Notre Dame this weekend, it could hold them off a few weeks, but they're prepared to pull the trigger mid-year and not wait anymore. The powers that be, the fans are starting to get restless.
Luke Fickell.
Gone.
Trent Dilfer.
Gone. Can't be answering FaceTime phone calls on the sidelines at games.
Scott Satterfield.
This one is kind of 50-50. He's had success, over time at Cincinnati. Brennan Salisbury is playing pretty good. He played well last year. His seat is warm. I don't know if it's as hot as the few gentlemen we spoke about before this.
David Braun, Northwestern. Like some of these schools had to come to the realization you are not competing for a Big Ten title. You are not competing for the national title. You're not going to compete probably for an 8-4 season. You are what you are. You could probably get Andy Reid to walk through your door. And if you are Northwestern, it's like, yeah, you're still not getting kids. Money's not there.
Right. Yeah. They also just paid Pat Fitzgerald a bag in that settlement. So it's like you have to buy out Braun and then pay another. I don't think his seat is as warm as the other gentleman we mentioned previously.
Trent Bay of Oregon State. Again, some of these schools you look at, it's like, well, you have no conference. What are you doing?
Yeah, I don't necessarily think that, and this isn't a knock to Oregon State and the Beavers, that they're concerned too much right now about coach. Like I said, they're trying to get right in the conference. They have the Pac-12, but it's, kind of like the B division right now. They're trying to get that all situated. It's been a merry-go-round at quarterback over there for the past 3 seasons. Again, he's only been there, 2? Because Jonathan left 2 years. So I think he's okay. I think they give him 1 more year. I think this time next year we might be having this conversation. He might be red hot.
Mark Stoops of Kentucky.
I've been saying this since before the year started. The QB carousel every single year. The offensive coordinator carousel every single year. Somehow he's able to smooth things over at media days for SEC, and they're able to deflect things. But I think if we have another subpar season, as it looks like we're having for the Wildcats, I think Mark Stoops' era in Kentucky could be coming to a real quick halt at the end of 2025. So I think his seat is more than lukewarm.
Sonny Cumbie of Louisiana Tech.
Warm to the touch.
Joe Moorhead, Akron.
I think he's okay.
Really?
I don't think the standard at Akron is as high as some of the schools we just mentioned earlier.
So here are the 2 wild cards. And performance-wise, you should say, yeah, they're gone, but you just aren't sure. So let's start with the first one. Dabo Swinney.
I think he's gone. I think that right now it's a 75-25 chance that he is gone. I think the way he's body language, the way you handle yourself speaks volumes. And I think that press conference following that loss, saying that now we have to regroup and it's an 8-game season. He's debuting for a new coaching position. There's 8 games that he has left is an audition for another job somewhere else.
So if you're Clemson, who wants to be the person to tell the Board of Regents, hey, we got to fire a guy, pay him $60 million. And by the way, we want a good coach. So we're going to pay that guy probably $40 million. I mean, on one hand, you want to say yes. On the other hand, that whoever's the president of Clemson, he's getting fired for signing that contract. The AD, you're gone also. So does he survive just because it's like, oh God, $60 friggin' million. $60 friggin' million. I know there's some of the football people, draft professors do great work, and Ernest Silva Invalid podcast go, yeah, it's gone. But it's like, okay, how do you tell the boss of your company, hey, we just are blowing $60 million, probably another 40. So $100 million, just send it down the pisser.
You were the preseason favorite. You had the best return in production out of any team coming back to college football. You had the most preseason first-round picks out of any school in college football. And your pretty much mathematically eliminated from the playoff. That is a 100% falling on my face, stepping on my unit.
I know, but once again, if you are the AD and the president, how do you sell that? Is we got to fire this guy, pay him $60 million, and pay another like $100 million. Like if you are in even a investment banker or a lawyer, if you lose $100 million, you're getting fired and probably blackballed. If you're in a drug business, you're getting killed. So yeah,
but where's your future now? Not even talking about now. Where is your future?
I don't know. That's
who's behind Cade Klubnik to go. There's nothing. They don't. That's the problem. Is his whole gimmick of I do my thing and I groom. Well, you've only groomed him for so long. In this last couple of recruiting classes, when it comes to quarterback and kind of these key positions, haven't hit because you had to take a wide receiver and turn him into a running back, even though you had 3 4-star running backs in your room. Whether it's you can't develop talent anymore, or maybe your eye for talent is as good as it was. But I think it's Vezinin. I mean, how many passes has this kid thrown? The drop-off begins now. And I don't know if they're ready for this whole – it's not a reset anymore. This is after this season, Clemson's going to be in a full-ball rebuild.
Again, who tells the Board of Regents, we're blowing $60 million?
You don't think that everybody's kind of having that conversation already? You don't think
they are, but it's almost like, when you lose, like you never do because you're a responsible man, but you go to the poker tables, you blow the kids' college fund, and then you go home to the missus. You're like, oh shit, I'm gonna how am I going to do this? I have no idea. Oh, crap. She might shoot me. And you know what? Legally, she'll get away with it because I'm an idiot. So, as I said, if you're the AD and you're the president, do you really do that? You go, we're going to give him 1 more year. That way the buyout's not as bad. He can turn it around. We have faith. And we're not going to have to pay $60 million all at once. I mean, that is a large check. So, and by the way, the next coach you want is probably going to be pretty good because you're not going to settle for a long rebuild. So, it's also going to cost.
What's the difference really when it comes to college football between 50 and 60? Because the drop off in 1 more year ain't going to be more than $10 million.
It's a lot. You know that. It's $10 million less that you have to go, we just blew.
Oh, they continue to have the bleeding. And then, at some point you got to turn the tourniquet and stop the blood. Right now, Clemson's got a geyser coming out of the vein. Someone's got to put the tourniquet on. He might not be the the sinner. He could be the saint, the guy who decides to cut ties and turn the tourniquet, because now you're stopping the bleeding. You're bringing them back to life, because right now they're on life support and they're bleeding out.
Last one. Bill Belichick.
Oh, I think Bill Belichick experience has been over before it even started.
Again, though, you're going to have to pay him a lot of money. Oh, by the way, you're still paying Mac Brown. You're going to have to fire Freddie Kitchens, Lombardi. I mean, give Belichick credit. He grifted North Carolina, so they're paying big bucks for everybody. So, again, if you're North Carolina, and I get it, they're looking here and they're going, wait a minute here. We didn't pay you all this money to go 2-2 and get blown out by TCU. Okay, we can stomach that. And University of Central Florida. Oh, we really can't stomach that. And by the way, you've got Hot Pants McGee, Jordan prancing around, the sidelines here. Oh my God. Again, people are getting fired over at UNC if they have to go to the Board of Regents, who are probably not happy about this and go, yeah.
Well, no, I think Bill Belichick's got a life preserver for this one, because I think they can go bowling, and I think if they win 6 games, he'll survive.
I'm sorry, you're serious about that? I mean, we just saw them get blown out by UCF.
Yeah, UCF is the top 30 team in college football right now.
So what's going to happen? But UCF, what happens when it's like Duke, NC State?
How good is Duke this year?
They're better than UCF. I mean,
are they?
Yes.
Why do you think
they've beaten are Charlotte and Richmond? I'm telling you right now, the Duke is better. we're not sure if, I mean, we have to be honest here. UNC might go 0-8 the rest of the schedule. They have nothing. They are just bad. There is no talent. This is as a draft person said who covers it for an NFL team.
Where's the talent in Stanford?
Stanford beat Boston College, and I think right now Boston College beats up UNC. So yeah.
Stanford. All right, so they beat Boston College. Look at the 2 games before the Boston College game. Disgusting.
I know, but still, we haven't seen anything.
They hadn't let up a touchdown in 2 games. Granted, it was Charlotte or Richmond, but we're okay with when Alabama plays Alabama A&M and drops 75. That's okay.
Nino, I don't think they'll score a touchdown against Clemson. This might be the game where Dabo just takes out all his frustration on another team, like 63-0, and just goes, yeah, that's right. You just take it. Screw this. I'm pissed off. Again.
How about this? I think that they turn the offense around because they're going to go with Max Johnson. You're going to go with a quarterback that can throw the ball downfield. Gio Lopez is struggling passes outside of 7 yards. They can't run the ball because they're constantly getting blown out. Outside of low-end competition, as you're saying. But against UCF and TCU, they were getting blown out early, so they had to abandon the run game. Jordan Shipp is a talented wide receiver on the outside. But when you're the only guy on the outside, you're drawing the double, you're drawing the best guy to cover you. He's still putting up almost 50 yards a game when they only put up less than 200. I'm not saying they're blowing anybody out, but I think Virginia, Stanford, Wake Forest, Duke, and even NC State are games that they can be in or possibly even win down the stretch. They're probably going to score at least 13 points against Clemson.
I don't know if their defense can hold Clemson to under 21. So
they won't hold on to 21. They won't hold on to 21, but I think they can score 13.
Yeah, that's debatable, as Peyton Manning would say. But let's talk about something that is a little more positive, because we got to be positive here. Because I feel where everybody's listening to college shows like, oh my God, they want everybody fired. They want like heads to roll, people get fired. Nino be there going, no, no. Hey, get the F out.
See ya.
TCU. I get it. The quarterback looks like he belongs in the boy band. They're probably the 6th most popular team in Texas. It's TCU, but all of a sudden we have to look and go, it's not crazy. They could actually win the Big 12. Once again, Josh Hoover is playing like a Heisman candidate quarterback. Eric McAllister is, showed off against SMU why he is probably getting drafted. This defense can actually play. Talk me into it here. Should we start looking at TCU as the Big 12 champion and say, hey, why not? They're a pretty good little team here.
They are a pretty good little team here. They have a very nice schedule moving forward, with McAllister beginning to show us what he was once at Boise State, and Jordan Dwyer's emergence. They have an offense. This defense reminds me of what I used to see out of the Patriots for years after years. The bend but don't break, right? I'll let up 400 yards of offense, but I'm going to let you're not going to score more than 20 points. Allowing only 19. I think it's like something like 20 points a game, just under 20 points a game, but they're allowing 400 yards of offense. When it comes to getting in front of that, red zone, TCU shows up on defense and plays lockdown football. And Josh Hoover, for all those people, I've been saying this for a few weeks, for all those people that really like the Sawyer Robertson prototype in the quarterback, you got to love Josh Hoover then. Because he fits the mold. He's mobile. He can make the big throws. He make the bucket throws. Those tight window mouse hole throws over the middle of the linebacker. He can make those throws. The off platform, he can get you 400-500 yards on the ground and get in the end zone. I think this team is starting to roll. And I think that they enjoy being the forgotten Big 12 kind of underdog. Down the schedule of Arizona State, Colorado, Kansas State, Baylor, West Virginia, I think that they could be undefeated going into the game at Iowa State, and it's at home. I know I have a lot of faith in Iowa State. I think they're a very good team. I think they have an elite secondary on that defensive squad. I think that their offense, even though they took a lot of hits on the wide receiver room, the dual-headed running backs, Rocco Beck is underrated. They have pieces. But I think TCU can get them. I don't think BYU is built to hang with TCU. So, yeah, I think Iowa State and this Houston game at the end of the year are two games where it could be close. But I think if they win those games, that Iowa State game, that's a, how do I put the flag state game, measuring stick game, kind of statement game for them. Like, yo, we're real. Because I don't think it is any competition, but legitimate weighted competition up into the Iowa State game. Virginia State losing, Jaheim White, that offense is upside down right now. Kansas State can't figure out who they are. Obviously, Colorado, who will be the quarterback by the time they play, because every other week it seems to be a switch. And Arizona State, who they play this weekend, Sammy Levitt seems to have, like, Cinderella's shoe is gone. He's like a pumpkin now. He's having trouble getting over 150 yards in the air, even when he has no one wide receiver coming up in the draft and Jordan Tyson. So I think TCU is built for the long run in the Big 12. And I think people need to start recognizing them. Like I said, they have a very good defense to get after the ball. You may be able to move the ball from 20 to 20, but watch out when it gets to that red zone, because this team locks it in.
Is Kendall Briles auditioning for a head coaching job? Because you look and it's like, okay, he was pretty good as an offensive coordinator when he was at Arkansas. Hey, he that offense started moving around. They went to multiple bowls. He turned the quarterback into a reputable quarterback, and now he's doing the same thing in TCU. As we said, Josh Hoover looks like a possible NFL caliber quarterback. That offense puts points up. He dropped 48 on North Carolina. Yeah, it's North Carolina, but he's still 48. Mm-hmm. Then they dropped 35 on SMU. I mean, is it time to start looking at Kendall Briles and go, this guy deserves a head coaching job if TCU keeps this up?
If I'm Oklahoma State, right, I'm making a phone call, 6-hour drive, right? Come on up. Let's start this new chapter at Oklahoma State. Yes, I think this young man under the age of 45, one of the next up and coming. Like I said, I think Oklahoma State or Virginia Tech needs to take that step of a guy that needs to get their feet wet. First time coach. I think this is another candidate. Kendall Briles is putting out a massive audition in 2025 to be a head coach somewhere in 2026. They're probably going to put 1, 2, possibly 3 guys. Bud Clark, Johnson, maybe Dinmuba. We'll all go to the NFL. Defensively, obviously, I think Hoover can go to the NFL. McAllister can go. I mean, they have more than a handful of kids on this team that are NFL talent, and they're all gelling. We all know Big 12 offenses. This is the epitome of Big 12 offense. They are cooking right now. If they can figure out somewhat of a run game, I mean, Kevion Barnes is 7.4 yards per game. It's great, but he's hurt. So, like, we got to get him healthy. If they can figure out between Payne, Battle, and Palmer who can take these reins, watch out, man. If they could be a complete offense, they are a team that everybody's been sleeping on, and I think they really like it. I think they like being the underdog.
Is Josh Hoover the most unlikely Heisman candidate right now? Because as we said, he doesn't look it. You look at quarterbacks like, okay, you're going to be this big strapping guy like a Fernando Mendoza, or you're going to be a dynamic athlete like Lenora Sellers, or you going to be just a combination of both like Dante Moore. And Hoover's doesn't look like any of it. As I said, he looks like he belongs in a boy band. It's not a knock on him. He's just all right. He's average height, average weight, and yet you're looking going, wow, he's put up some damn good numbers. Wow, he is mastering this offense. Wow, he's just completing 68% of his passes, 11 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, moves the ball well. He just cooks should we start looking at Hoover and go, you could actually sneak into the Heisman Award talk? As I said, if they could go undefeated, and all of a sudden you're looking at Hoover going, hey, this offense, he's going to just put up numbers, throw a lot of touchdowns, and just we're going to have to take notice of this kid.
Yeah, I think he's a dark horse candidate to be Heisman. I'm totally confused with how they're doing the Heisman voting, how these people do Heisman. Like, I see a lot of this Heisman stuff, and Fernando Mendoza's not the favorite right now, which is absolutely insane to me because I think he should be the lead favorite right now, the way he's played. But yeah, I think Dante Moore and Josh Hoover are kind of two of the dark horse guys that nobody's really kind of talking about for the Heisman. They're playing lights out. I mean, Hoover threw for 4,000 yards last year. If he had gotten the 11 interceptions to, like, say 8 or 9, 27 and 8, people would be, hold on, But again, TCU, 2 years removed from being in the national championship, and here they are, found another guy who I think is better than Dugan was, and look what they're doing. Kid's cooking, 1,000 yards, averaging almost 10 yards per pass play, kind of doing what he wants. You can see that he has command of this offense. TCU, the Horned Frogs, they're legit. They are legit Big 12 contenders to win, and they are a legit college football playoff. I wouldn't be surprised that by week 9 or 10 that they're not somewhere in a 12 to 15 ranking.
Well, we're going to Heisman candidates to guys who have probably are either falling down or out of a Heisman run. Let's start with Baron Morton's. Texas Tech said he's fine. He'll be ready for the game. If you saw that Utah game, you're going, oh my God. It looked like he probably broke his spine. He was in pain. I mean, he had trouble just throwing a ball. So let's start here with Texas Tech. What are you hearing about Morton's, and how much is Texas Tech like kind of fibbing, and how much are they worried that he's probably hurt a lot more than they're letting on? But as Morton goes, so does Texas Tech.
Yes and no, because we watched the kid come in, Will Hannon, four-star recruit. This kid's built for this program. This is a kid that threw for 5,000 total. Well, he had didn't throw 5,000. He had 5,000 total yards and 40 plus touchdowns his senior year in high school. Like, Elite 11's quarterback. He was a top 12 in the Elite 11. Like, he was a dude. And they didn't skip a beat when he came in against Utah. An elite defense. He was actually more prolific in the pass game than Baron Martin was. Everything I read, and I know they could be fluffing it, but all I hear is that he's sore. Right? Baron Martin sore, that there's a possibility that he plays in the next game. I don't know. I don't think I'm worried so much. Even if Baron Martin doesn't play, I want him to play because he's had such an injury-plagued career, and when he's healthy and plays, you see what he can do. And I think that I had said it before, I think that if he played all season, finally stayed healthy, that he could be this year's Tyler Shuck and work himself into getting in the NFL. But I don't think that Texas Tech is even worried a bit about it. And I think Will Hammond is perfectly capable of commanding this offense, and they wouldn't skip a beat.
Should they be worried that the offensive line is going to get him killed? Because that is something where you were looking, going, okay, well, we invested all this money. We got David Bailey, we got Morton, we signed a bunch of guys, and then they had to be looking and going, oh my God, this is not good. John Henry Daly, yes, a John Henry Daly, three first names, just committed assault and battery on Baron Morton's. I mean, this was one of those things where I didn't know Mormons could be that violent. Well, he was. If that happened against Utah, you got to look at this and go, oh, crap, what happens when it's, we're playing Arizona State, BYU,
Utah is the top 12 defense in the country.
I know, but if he's already taking beatings against Utah, what happens when it's like Arizona State and all these other schools going, oh, crap, their offensive line is not that good. And next thing you know, he's getting beat up more than Canelo Alvarez was against Bud Crawford.
I don't know that Utah has two defensive linemen that are probably going to be drafted in the first 3 rounds in this draft. I don't know that many teams in the Big 12 have a defense, a front seven like Utah does. So I don't know that would be the case moving forward. But I think what Will Hammond brings to this room is that escapability, those legs. And like I said, he rushed for 1,000 yards his senior year, and you saw he moved around the pocket with ease. He was getting it less. I think that they may let Morton, if he's not 100%, take the time, but I don't think that they're worried if he gets beat up. I think right now he fits the offense better, but if he takes a couple of hits or he needs time, Will Hammond is perfectly capable of leading this team, and I think that he may actually fit this offensive scheme better.
One guy who's definitely going to miss some time. Number 10 in the program, number 1 in the hearts of all Oklahoma. That's right, John Mateer, the guy who Nino Brown a couple weeks ago saying, hey, this guy going to Heisman. Hey, Johnny Mateer is like Baker Mayfield. Hey, John Mateer is good for college football. Well, unfortunately, John Mateer, in a impressive win against Auburn, broke a couple bones in his throwing hand. He is out for at least a month. That means Red River rivalry game. Nope, he's not showing up for that. No, it was South Carolina, Ole Miss. He's not showing up for that. Probably out for Tennessee. This is bad. This is bad. And I can hear Brent Venables go, no! Ernest, talk him off the ledge. Talk people off Oklahoma off the ledge, because I feel they're ready to jump off the ledge. Like, we were going to beat Texas at the Red River game, and now we're screwed.
Dr. Steven Shin is the ace in the pocket, baby. I think that. I mean, do you see what he did in the fourth quarter with broken hand? Did you see what he could have kept playing? He was dialed in. He announced today that it's a successful surgery from Dr. Shin, right? And Dr. Shin will probably get a holiday in Oklahoma when he plays Texas in the Red River rivalry game, because I think that he comes back for that game.
He had successful surgery. It usually takes a month plus to for the hand heal. What, we're gonna put like a club on it, and he's gonna try to throw passes with his club hand?
No, they wouldn't put a club on. He wouldn't be able to throw.
So So the Red River game's in literally almost 2 weeks.
On the 11th.
Yeah. Yes, October 11th. He's not going to be cleared, they said, for another 4 weeks. So
who said he's not going to be cleared? Nobody said anything about a timetable. Not a single person. It's all speculation from media. Not a single person from Oklahoma has said anything about a timetable.
So you think he'll defy the odds. He'll defy everything. We'll see him out there. Hand will be fine. We hope. But he'll take the special sauce, the USADA, UFC approved, let's say, cocktails, and he'll be fine on October 11th.
Some people have a higher threshold for pain than others. If that thing's bendable and he can hold the ball, John Mateer's playing. He's that dude. He's that build, that moxie to him. If he can hold the ball with that thumb, he's playing.
What is the likelihood? I mean, let's try to be, so they said he's out indefinitely, and he could miss up to a month after his surgery, which, yes, like every medical exam person's going to go, no, you cannot play. We do not care. You can't take the cast off early. That doesn't work. You can't just will your hand better. If we could, there'd be a lot of shamans making a lot of billions of dollars here.
If he doesn't play, then they obviously have no choice to turn to Michael Hawkins Jr. It's a totally different ballgame. Yes, he is mobile, but he struggled against SEC competition. Texas, they got destroyed last season when Jackson Arnold was out. Against Tennessee, he got destroyed. He played good against Navy, in the Armed Forces Bowl, but you better figure out a run game with Michael Hawkins in there. And it can't be just Michael Hawkins. It's got to be the whole kit and caboodle.
Well, something that's going to be easier to figure out. That's right. It's the game of the week. You were excited about this. You were before we go on here like, oh, this is going to be it. This is for the number one seed. This might be for there. As you were saying, this could be for a playoff preview. It's Oregon versus Penn State. This is Nino. Vic, keep telling me this is the best Penn State team, top to bottom, in almost a decade plus. They have the quarterback. They have a defense. They have weapons. James Franklin is on point. So sell it to me. If you are a Penn State fan, why should you have hope? Why should you think this is the year that you're going to beat those damn dirty Ducks?
It's hard for me to sell it. I mean, I just don't see what has Drew Allen done better this year than last year. And when he played Oregon last year, my problem with Drew Allen, when it comes to the big moments, them key clutch moments, he pees down the side of his leg. He did it 3 times last year. They had a chance to come back and score the game-tying touchdown against Oregon late in the fourth quarter. What happened? Interception. Vomited all over himself. And this year, okay, cool. Get a 3-0. We're going to talk about fluffernutters here. Nevada, FIU, and Villanova. Villanova football program, when have they put together more than 3 wins in a season? They're more known for basketball than any school that I've seen in recent history. They're playing cupcakes, and he's got 62% pedestrian. What's he have? 3 touchdowns through the air? 4. I'm sorry. And he's got less than 700 yards. I need to see something out of Terrell. I need to see him when it's pressure situations, when the bullets get flying. Are you that dude? Because what I've seen is when it gets hot in the kitchen, man, you just want to run because you're afraid you're going to tip the pot over and burn yourself. And we saw it happen multiple times last year. It's hard for me to say when James Franklin comes out and says, we need more tools in the toolbox. You lost how many pieces on defense? And you think you're better this year?
They have a lot of pieces. They have A.J. Harris, Dominic DeLuca returning. You got.
He was there last year, DeLuca.
They have Danny Dennis Sutton back. They got Zane Durant back. I'm saying that they look at this team and go, this is the year. This is the year that we're going to put it together. But Drew Aller is going to become big balls Aller. He's going to just do it.
I just don't see it. They went out and Trevor Pena was supposed to be this great, crazy asset they were going to get. And their true freshman tight end has got almost the same exact numbers as Trevor Pena. Trevor Pena has 13 receptions. Luke Reynolds has 13 receptions for 142. Trevor Pena has 166 yards and a touch. Like, Wallace the third out in Ole Miss. I bet you they miss him, huh? That guy's balling out. Sometimes the grass isn't always green around the other side. Sometimes you don't know what you got till it's gone. I don't think that this offense is better than last year's offense. I do not think that, nor do I think that Drew Aller is the number 1 quarterback in this class. And until he can prove to me that when it gets hot and the pressure gets cooking and down the stretch, you can play mistake-free football. You can look like a guy that's supposed to be playing on Sundays and not look like a guy that's going to be a perennial backup, for your career. I know that's a long stretch, but he could be a Spencer Rattler. People got him being, the next QB, the next Tom Brady. And I haven't seen a gosh darn thing this year get better. I have not seen them downfield throws when it gets tight get better. I have not seen when the balls are coming from left and right and ready to sandwich them in the middle, does he step up in the pocket, get comfortable, and just throw a dart? I have not seen that at all. And his numbers are, I know numbers don't say everything, but against those teams, he should have better numbers, in my opinion. And I know the game plan might have been to sugarcoat it till it comes, but Oregon's got more tools in the toolbox this year as well. Oregon's offense is playing like a well-oiled machine. That defense is elite. Yes, Penn State has a great defense, but they're very close on when it comes to ranking and personnel on that defensive side. So if you're going to weigh offenses, I would take Oregon here. And if Penn State loses this game, we need to start having a conversation about Drew Aller, and we need to start having a conversation about James Franklin.
Speaking of conversations, what's the conversation on Oregon? Because I know you're very high on them. You and Bill Sparks, the Sparks kind of, hey, Dante Moore, first round draft pick. Dante Moore might be the best college quarterback. It's not like they've played murderer's row so far. It was FCS team Montana State the first week, Oklahoma State, which I think decided, oh yeah, let's not show up and just send a bunch of the intramural kids instead in our place. That's what it looked like. Northwestern, which we were talking about, they may or may not fire their coach, and Oregon State, which is, oh crap, none of these teams have won a football game. None of them have won a football game combined. So at the same time, how much do we look at Oregon and go, all right, are you for real, or are you taking on more cupcakes than the Hostess factory can produce?
Oh, the cupcakes, we can't say they're taking on more cupcakes because the cupcakes that Penn State are playing are the same level.
All right? But you're like, oh, yeah, Penn State's taking on anybody. And then the next level, you're like, Oregon is doing – they have all these weapons. So you got to be fair. I know that you have like stock in Nike, and you're talking to Phil Nike. Hey, Phil, hook me up here with some Nikes. And he's like, I understand. And, I'll take care of it during Christmas time. But honestly, like, what do we know about Oregon in terms of how good they are when they haven't played anybody?
What they aren't doing is playing down to competition. Dante Moore's 75% completion rate is almost 1,000 yards with 11-1 touchdown ratio. Would you rather have the 4-1 or the 11-1 ratio with 1,000 yards? Playing the same kind of cupcake schedule. What guy would you rather have? The guy that looks dialed in, the guy that is accurate as hell, the guy that can press the ball down the field, the guy that's throwing an average of I think it's almost 11 yards per completion. Like, come on. Like, the offense on both teams are totally different. Now, when it comes to running the ball, I'll give it to you. Penn State might have a better 1-2 combination, but between Lamar and the true freshman, Dyer Hill Jr., they're cooking 5 touchdowns between the two of them. Noah Winning's been hurt, but he's coming back. He also has 2 touchdowns and almost 200 yards. They have, I think, and then you add in Jordan Davidson, the true freshman. They have a deep backfield. They have easily the best wide receiver in this game in Decorian Moore. Hands down, as a true freshman, he is the best wide receiver in this game. I think the talent level when it comes to Oregon against Penn State, I think Oregon has the edge on the talent level. I think Oregon has the edge in the production. I think Oregon has the edge in momentum. To me, the only edge that Penn State has in this game is at home, and it's a whiteout.
So tell me what's going to happen then. Because as you said, it's a whiteout. It's going to be at home, Happy Valley. That place is going to be louder than probably, volcano eruption. Those people in Penn State, they're going to be yelling and screaming, and you might get like an 8.0 earthquake, from this whole game. So break it down. Does Oregon just basically send 80,000 people home unhappy, or is this where James Franklin gets his big win? Is this where Drew Aller shows that his new nickname is Big Balls Aller? Is this the game where Penn State goes to Nino, goes, hey, disrespect you showed us. How do you like them apples now?
I think this is going to be a dogfight for the first half. I think this is going to be an absolute close game. It's going to be 10-7, maybe 13-7, 13-10 style game for the first half. I think Oregon will start to figure it out in the second half. I think Penn State will be right there. But I truly believe that Oregon is a better built team. I think in that first half, Jim Knowles is going to show you what he's got. I've been keeping the bag quiet. I came here for a reason, and he's going to give Dante Moore some fits. But I think Will Stein and Dan Lanning is going to figure out a way to keep this offense moving and adjust because they do great at adjusting. And I think we're going to see somewhat similar to the outcome of last year. I don't know if it's going to be 45-37 or whatever it was, something like that. But I think you could see a game where it's like, 31-24, 33-27, 34-20, something in that realm. But I think in the end, Oregon has enough on the defensive side of the ball down the stretch to stop Penn State at home and get the dub. And I think they flip-flop in the standings.
Finally, let's talk about, there's some big games here this weekend. You've got Ole Miss versus LSU, two of the most polarizing coaches in the SEC go at it again. Brian Kelly versus Lane Kiffin. We're not sure who's more hated in the SEC, but that'll be a good game. You got Georgia versus Alabama, which this might be Kalen DeBoer's last stand. There might even be talk that this could be either the end or this could be where he just kicks it into another gear. You got a pretty good underrated game against USC and Illinois where, hey, we find out if USC is for real, if Illinois can bounce back. Give me some games. Give me like your 5 games you're looking at this week going, damn, they are must-see TV. Besides the ones besides, of course, Oregon versus Penn State, give me 5 games you're looking at going, damn, these are some good games.
Like I mentioned a little bit earlier, I like the 22 Notre Dame at Arkansas. I feel like a blowout by Notre Dame here in Fayetteville, Sam Pittman's season could be over. And a win by Arkansas at home. We're talking about Notre Dame's run done for this year in the playoffs. So I think that's a key game that I'm looking at that I really want to watch. Let me see here. What else? I think Ohio State going into Husky Stadium, traveling to Seattle. I think they're on upset alert. I don't think Washington's getting enough respect. I think that Damon Williams at quarterback and Denzel Boston at wide receiver, Jonah Coleman at running back, that they are an elite offense that nobody's kind of talking about. So I think Ohio State is on upset alert here. Let me see. Indiana coming off a huge win. Sometimes those big wins, you get a little bit too cocky, and now you're going to be heading into Kinetic Stadium. We all know how that is. The vibes over there is absolutely wild. As bad as the Hawkeyes are every year, they always find a way to upset somebody and just kind of stick a fork in their plan. So I'm interested to see if Gronowski can figure it out against Indiana, or Indiana can continue to just stack these big dubs. Local game, I'll be at this game. Cal at Boston College. Can Boston College bounce back from an absolute drubbing against Stanford at 10:30 at night, late, deep into the shadows 2 weeks ago? Or can, JKS continue as a true freshman to lead Cal, being undefeated and just being one of the most prolific quarterbacks this year, and a great story. I think he might be one and done at Cal. But that's another game that I'm really interested in. And then I know nobody else might be interested in this game. I know there's other ranked games. You mentioned a couple of them, but this is, we're talking about the 115th meeting of the Rio Grande rivalry between New Mexico State and New Mexico. University Stadium, Albuquerque, New Mexico is going to be shaken at 4:00. Remember, Devin Dampier, the QB of Utah. This is where he was last year. With him and his coach were there, and they were lighting it up. Look out for this game. This game, New Mexico's won 4 out of the last 6, but New Mexico State can come in there every once in a while and throw a wrinkle in plans. I mean, Diego Pavia was there, is where he got a stop before he went to Vanderbilt. So 115th rivalry is one of the oldest rivalries in college football. So I'll be watching that game as well. Those are some of the games that kind of interest me this week.
I went through 2 more games we haven't touched upon that need to be at least mentioned. First is the continued improvement of Mississippi State. Last year they were god awful. I mean, even Arch Manning was basically shredding them. They were 2-10. People are wondering what the hell Jeff Libby is doing. Now they're 4-0. Now they have, they even have a win the SEC, which last year they didn't. They're taking on Tennessee, and you know, on paper, it's like, okay, Tennessee's a 7.5 favorite. They should, just smoke them. But then you look and go, wait a minute here. Mississippi State beat Arizona State.
Mm-hmm.
That's an impressive win because Arizona State was number 12 in the nation at the time. And second, a team that we all but wrote off like, oh, this is going to be one of the worst teams in all college football. Arizona, undefeated Arizona, takes on Iowa State. Again, who would have thought that a 5'10", 185-pound quarterback who Money thought, oh my God, he doesn't belong. And all of a sudden we talk with Arizona. It's like, oh yeah, wait a minute here. 3-0. They beat Kansas State. They've beaten Hawaii, Weber State. They didn't have that many wins last year. So are those two games where you look and go, something weird might happen? Arizona might actually, not realize it's Arizona and shock Iowa State. That, dare I say, Mississippi State could improve to 5-0 and shock Tennessee.
I think Shockville is going to be off the Richter scale in this one. This is a game where, speaking of Heisman, Joey Aguilar's got to be a dark horse Heisman candidate with the way he's performed this year. But Mississippi State is a top 20 team defensively. They're allowing less than 12 points per game. And the Vols are a top 25 team offensively. So it's a battle of what these teams do best. Who's going to be the guy to come out in the end? I think this might be one of the games where, I know he's played many games, but it's a road game in the SEC. Starkville is going to be loud and proud. They have something to cheer for. Blake Shapen looks like, a man possessed. They have two-headed monster in the running back room there. So I like this game, but Tennessee is on upset alert 100%. As far as Arizona, Nova Fida, it's kind of a lot of the similar stuff. Yeah, they're winning games, but the guy is not doing well when it comes to, completion percentage. He struggled last season when it comes to completing passes downfield. If he didn't have Ted McMillan, burying him out here, his numbers would have been even worse. What I do like about Arizona and what they're doing is they have 4 running backs that are averaging over 5 yards per carry. They will just ground and pound the shit out of you, wear you down. But that's what Iowa State loves to do. Abu Sama, Carson Hansen, Rocco Beck, all can run the ball. I think Iowa State kind of is the buzzkill in the Wildcats' little locomotive that they got going on right now.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, whenever you want hot takes, whenever you want a guy who's going to bring it every time and bring the fastball, you got to talk to this guy here. I give you, once again, from College Football Nation, I give you Nino Brown. So, Nino, once again, where can fans check you out? Where is the Twitter, the podcast channel, Instagram? Where can fans hit you up at?
You can catch me on the personal on X. It's at __ Nino Brown __. And then everything that I do is pretty much on the CFB Nation on all platforms. It's the CFB Nation on every social media platform. And then you can check out the website. It's www.thecfbnation.com.
Nino Brown, ladies and gentlemen, once again, always honor, pleasure having you on the show from College Football Nation. We come back, a lot more going on here, only on its last call. Last call of the alcohol, only on the lastcallpodcast.com.